What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 7, lucky number 7 of the Unlimited Characters podcast. Thanks for everybody that's been tuning in, checking out the episodes. I appreciate it. Drop a comment, hit the like button. Let me know what you think. But man, let's get into some NBA basketball. For those of you guys that haven't been watching right now, the NBA is in the second round and it's been delivering pretty much every series right now. It's 3-2 except for the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the only series right now that Celtics definitely have a pretty big lead, 3-1. They're looking to close it out in a couple of days. Actually, they're looking to close it out tonight as I have peanut butter mouth going with the blah, blah, blah. But yeah, man, let's get into it right away. So last night, 2 big games, Nuggets versus the Timberwolves, also Knicks versus the Pacers. So Nuggets came out, they beat the Timberwolves 112-97. Jokic accepted his MVP award and put on an MVP performance with a double-double, 40 points, 13 assists. It's Minnesota's first 3-game losing streak of the season, and they now have they now face a must-win in this Thursday's potential elimination game. So, and Edwards, he was held to 18 points, only making 5 of his 15 shots. And Cat had a pretty good game on offense, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. But neither Cat or Rudy Gobert could contain Jokic, and Jokic pretty much did everything he wanted all night. Minnesota, they went up 2-0. Everybody thought it was over. That was in Denver, up 2-0. Now they went back to Minnesota, lost 2, and now back to Denver, lost another game. So I think everybody, was really underestimating the Nuggets, myself included. But, you can't underestimate that heart of a champion. And it really looks like, I think, Denver's probably going to come out, dominate again in game 6. It looks like not only Anthony Edwards, but just the whole team's kind of overall experience together in the playoffs is starting to get to them. They don't look like they have exactly what it takes to, actually make it out and defeat Denver. So Minnesota, man, they came out super on fire. Defense looked crazy. People in game 2 are comparing their defense to like the 96 Bulls, the Warriors when they had Iguodala, Durant, everybody in there. A lot of those, 90s Knicks teams, different teams that had Bad Boys, Pistons, stuff like that. And ever since that happened, it's just been a complete reversal, 180. I think the first couple of games, Jokic and Murray were only averaging like 33, 34 points as a duo. And since then, they're averaging well over 55, probably over 60 as you start to look into that now. But just that series, man, it started off 2-0. Like I said, Minnesota was up. Everybody thought it was a wrap. But Minnesota's been struggling, man. And Edwards yesterday, like he had 18 points, 9 assists, but he was only 5 of 15 from the field. So their number one player, he's only 22 years old. So not a lot that you can expect from a 22-year-old, but people are putting those crazy comparisons on him, calling him like the next Jordan, the next Kobe Bryant. So that's hard to get to, you, man. As we all know, those players took years and years to end up where they were going to be. Kobe, he had those performances against the Jazz where he threw up some air balls, didn't have his best basketball going. So, Jordan also lost to the Celtics, didn't really win a playoff series, I think, until he got Scottie Pippen. So it's a little bit outlandish that some of these people really do think that, he's going to come out here and just dominate and beat the defending champions by himself. So that's not really realistic. I don't know why people would assume that he could do that, but it's something that they're all expecting. So who knows what's going to happen the rest of the series. But I think the Nuggets probably come out, dominate in game 6. So let's see how it plays out. But I guess one question I have is there any adjustment that Minnesota can actually make? I was trying to think about it a little bit. I think the only adjustment, and it sounds a little bit harsh because he did win Defensive Player of the Year, but it's probably to not play Rudy Gobert as many minutes. Game 2, Rudy Gobert didn't play. I think he had his son was born that day, and that was probably the best that Minnesota looked the entire series. They had a little bit more of like a small ball type of lineup in with Cat at the 5, Nikhil Walker-Alexander, Jaden McDaniels, and Edwards. And at the time, it was Mike Conley, but somebody else had to step in there. But, that was their best option. It looks like right now they got Gobert on Jokic. Jokic is just toying with them. Then they're moving Cat over. Then Gobert's kind of getting stuck trying to make sure he's following around Eric Gordon. But they're doing a lot of pick and rolls, getting the right matchup set up. So I don't really know if there's any big adjustment, but I would say that's probably the biggest thing is get Gobert a little bit out of the game. But that's going to also come down to Karl Anthony Towns not getting into foul trouble, which that's a whole nother story. But I would say that's probably the biggest thing. Gobert did have 18 points yesterday, going 7 of 7, 11 rebounds, but you kind of think about it, a lot of those are probably on purpose. They'd rather have Rudy Gobert getting those shots and shooting the ball. He was only -2, but like I said, on defensive end, getting absolutely cooked by Jokic. And we all remember a few years ago that story from Murray when Jokic was going on Gobert. Gobert said he didn't need help on a double team. Jokic gave him the, brother, I have 47 points. And it looks like he remembered that. He's doing the same thing. And, MVP performance. Jokic has just pretty much single-handedly come back and revived the Nuggets by himself. Murray's still looking like a shell of himself. If they're not playing against the Lakers, Murray doesn't seem to be able to get his as he was. He only added 16 points yesterday. Same thing from KCP. KCP had 16. Aaron Gordon had 18. Michael Porter Jr., surprisingly, pretty quiet series so far. He only had 6 points yesterday, 2 of 10 from the field, and 2 of 7 from three-point land. So Murray and Michael Porter Jr. look like unstoppable. They couldn't miss any shots against the Lakers. They've kind of come back to earth against the Timberwolves, but that's just why Jokic has stepped up and he's gone to another planet. So those two players came down to earth. Jokic took off in the rocket ship. He's on another level right now. 15 of 22 from the field, shot 68%. I don't know how you stop that. And 2 of 3 from three-point land. He had one of those signature Jokic shots yesterday where the shot clock's winding down, puts that thing all the way behind his head and just launches it, and he smacked that mug. So Jokic has been out here, man. It's one of those MVPs that everybody kind of hates on, myself included in the past, but you just can't deny it anymore at this time. He's kind of one of those all-time greats where he has a little bit of every player combined in him. He's got some passing, like Magic Johnson. He's got that slow you down type of play like Larry Bird, but then he still has footwork like, the dream Hakeem Olajuwon, and he's just got a little bit of everything, man. So Jokic, man, it's crazy that we've never seen a player like him. We probably never will, and it's kind of hard to understand in the moment how good he actually is. And he did have a dunk yesterday, guys, so don't forget that. He had a couple high flyers so far. He ran through the lane, took it down, but that's not usually what you see from Jokic, so it's hard. You watch the game, and you're like, man, that he's dominating, and you look up, he's got 40 points already. So 13 assists, like, it's not normal for a big man to be able to do these types of things, especially against a defense like the Timberwolves, against the Defensive Player of the Year. But seems like the same old story kind of happens every year. Rudy Gobert gets one of those Defensive Player of the Years, gets into the playoffs. The style's completely different. You're only up against the best teams, and Rudy Gobert tends to kind of get a little bit exposed out there. So I think the Nuggets are going to close it out in the next game. Originally, after those first 2 games, just like everybody else, I was on that Minnesota bandwagon thinking it's a wrap. Timberwolves might be the best Minnesota team they've ever had, but those champs, man, those champs caught up to them. They know what they're doing out there. KCP, 6 of 8, 4 of 5 from 3. That's going to be hard to stop, man. And that's still something that I talked about before. Lakers, why did you guys let go of KCP? Why would you want Russell Westbrook? You guys just gave him over to Jokic, seamlessly fitting right in. Christian Braun killed yesterday off the bench. He had 10 points, and he just plays hard, man. Braun runs up and down the court. He's probably at least every other game, if not every game. Him and Jokic have some type of, like, off a regular inbound, Jokic throws a bomb to Braun, and Braun gets an easy layup. So Braun's a smart player, kind of filling in that Bruce Brown, Jeff Green role from last year's championship team. But he's been killing 28 minutes yesterday, and he'll probably continue to get a little bit more. So it's a good matchup for him against the Timberwolves. Timberwolves right now, you can see that inexperience, man. McDaniels, a lot of ticky-tack fouls where, bro, I get you guys want to put pressure on, but fouling 35 feet away from the basket's not the move. And obviously Anthony Edwards, he's just got to find somebody else that can kind of help him out. Mike Conley's out right now, so nobody else that can really handle the ball. They did bring in Monte Morris yesterday that used to be on the Nuggets, so Monte got a couple of shots in, looked pretty solid for the T-Wolves, but that's kind of be the next piece for them is, they need another creator, shot maker, somebody. Karl Anthony Towns, not really his own shot creator, probably a better like pick and pop type of dude, but not really one-on-one player. Rudy Gobert, definitely not a one-on-one player. Jaden McDaniels, definitely not a one-on-one player. So that's kind of what I think is missing right now is they need another guard, another forward, somebody that's out on the wing that can kind of handle that part of the offense for them. Because when Anthony Edwards has the ball, it's kind of right now they're just double teaming, get the ball out of his hands. And you got to get somebody else make plays, y'all. So it's kind of what happens at this point in the playoffs is those teams that have been there know kind of how to get through it, like the Nuggets. Those teams that haven't been there, the Timberwolves, kind of hit these patches where the adjustments get made, but now all the adjustments have been made. You got to have just players step up, and they're not doing it right now. Numbers look good, but not really impacting out there, y'all. Let's go. Let's go Nuggets, man. Go playoffs, bro. NBA regular season, I agree, guys. It's hard to watch. Not everybody plays every night. Not all the stars are always locked in, but NBA playoffs, bro, as long as people are healthy, it's been entertaining. It might not be the NFL one game and done or the NCAA tournament. I know the NHL playoffs have been crazy this year, but NBA playoffs are right up there with it. There's going to most likely be a new champion this year unless Denver repeats, which they do have a chance to do. But, man, they're delivering. It's cool to see all these new players, SGA and Edwards, Luka Doncic, even Jokic. He's the MVP, but still got to love watching him play. But NBA playoffs, y'all, tune in if you haven't already done it. But let's shift to the second matchup that I want to talk about. And last night's first matchup, and just a series that's literally going back and forth. Whoever's at home is who's getting the dub. Knicks beat the Pacers, dominant fashion, 121-91, and they now lead the series 3-2. Knicks are one win away from the conference finals for the first time since the year 2000, since the Y2K, 24 years ago. Brunson had 44 points. That's his fifth time scoring more than 40 points in the playoffs this year. And neither team, like I mentioned, has won on the road at all. New York won the first two at home. Indiana went home, won the next two. Now New York won this game. And Halliburton, man, just a no-show again. He only had 13 points, 5 assists, not even putting up the ball a lot. He only had 9 shots, and he actually made 5 of them. Siakam did lead the way for Indy with 22 points. Indy's known for their offense, fast running up and down the court, but the Knicks put the clamps on them last night. Indy ended up with only 91 points, kept them under 100, which you don't see. They were in the 120s a lot of the season. And, I think a lot of these matchups come down to health, and both teams right now are banged up. So it makes sense why they're winning on the road or winning at home, not on the road. A lot of those role players that are having to play right now because players like Randall are out, Ben Mathurin for the Pacers are out, OG Anunoby. A lot of the players that are in right now aren't as consistent, so it makes sense. They play a lot better at home versus on the road. So I really think Indiana's going to get the next one, and you know what that means, y'all. That's a Game 7 in New York on Sunday, Madison Square Garden. You know it's going to be crazy. So I think it's going to go to Game 7. I think Knicks probably pull it out in Game 7, but I don't see the Knicks going into Indiana and winning. It's going to be one of those games where Halliburton probably comes out, goes off. Siakam plays better there. All of their players play kind of better at Indiana. Miles Turner, Obi Toppin, everybody. So, it's been a great series. It's exciting basketball. I'm excited that it's 3-2, not like a gentleman's sweep or that it's over already. But it does kind of feel a little pointless. I'm not going to lie. Whoever wins this series, I'm willing to bet is not going to make it to the NBA Finals, and if they did, would probably be the lowest rated NBA Finals in like 20 years or 24 years since it was the Pacers, Knicks back in like the 99, 2000s, both losing to the Lakers and Spurs back then. But I don't think it really matters who wins this series. So I know a lot of people have been asking the question, are the Knicks a fluke? I'm going to say yes, they're a fluke. So fluke in the sense that a lot of things went wrong this year. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people have been sitting out, or not sitting out, but just not available to play. They did get past the Sixers, but obviously Embiid was pretty banged up, couldn't even move half of his face. So a lot has been kind of playing into the favor of the Knicks. And the Villanova 3 of Hart, DiVincenzo, and Brunson play harder than probably any other trio in the NBA, and they have that chemistry going back to their Wildcat days. But I really do think it is a fluke, man. You look at the landscape for next season, a lot's going to not change, but a lot will be a little bit different. You assume the Bucks are going to be back and healthy. You assume if Jimmy Butler's on the Heat that he'll be healthier and they'll be a more viable option. You know the Magic are only going to get better. You don't know what's really going to happen with Cleveland. But if any year for the Knicks to make it to the conference finals, it's this year, y'all. The doors have opened. The seas opened up. The Red Sea's parted. Moses is down there doing his thing. So New York, y'all got to stand up. Y'all, this is your chance to make it. And they have a little bit going from everybody. Brunson, 44 points last night, 7 assists, 18 of 35, dude. He's just shooting at will. The whole team is completely bought in. Nobody cares that he's shooting the ball 35 times, which is crazy. Josh Hart added 18. Deuce McBride had 17. Alec Burks had 18. And it literally seems like anybody that Tom Thibodeau finds off the bench is just scoring, and they're plugging in and playing. Bogdanovich is out. Julius Randle's out. So then they bring in Precious Achua. He gets 4 points, 5 rebounds. Hartenstein has 7 points, 17 rebounds for Hartenstein. They still have Shake Milton on the bench, too, that you forget about, that got in a little bit towards the end. But New York, man, they're probably the closest thing you could think of to like a high school or college type of team where they're just completely bought in. Reminds you kind of like the Heat the last few years where, you know, you're like, man, how are they doing this? But the Heat had Bam Adebayo. They had Jimmy Butler, hero. They just didn't play that well during the regular season. The Knicks was kind of the opposite. I thought, yeah, they had a good regular season, but they probably won't do much in the postseason. But Brunson on another level, trying to show out, really becoming a superstar in front of everybody's eyes as just a small guard. And I talked about it before. Reminds me a lot of those Bulls teams in the 2010s with D Rose, Boozer, and all them just kind of battling and fighting everybody out. In Indiana, I think they had a stat yesterday where they're the only team that has, like, I think 8 different people averaging 10 points or more. The other 2 teams were championship teams. Indiana, that's not it. They're not going to be a champion. 22 points from Siakam last night. Miles Turner had 16. Nembhard had 11. Halliburton had 13. So just kind of a dud by the team overall. They're known for their offense. They only had 91 points. They only shot 43% from the entire field. They actually shot 44% from 3, but only had 12 makes. So just kind of a sloppy performance. 24 assists for them, 18 turnovers. And they just look kind of disheveled, man. I mean, Halliburton hasn't been right most of the kind of second half of the season with a couple of injuries that he had. He's sitting on that giant cushion on the bench that's like this big. I'm trying to make sure his back's all right. But he seems to come out a little bit flat, and I know they're missing players. I know they're not fully healthy, but they should probably be beating the Knicks. The Knicks are missing way more players than the Pacers are. And, I mean, the Pacers in season made it to the championship game for that in-season tournament, but it looks like their season's probably not going to make it past here. But first conference final since 2000 is insane for the Knicks. But shout out to the Knicks. Good season for them going so far. And I think they're going to probably end up taking it, but we'll see when it happens. I think in game 7. So I'm definitely going with Indiana to take the next one. But big win for the Knicks yesterday, man. Madison Square Garden rocking, all the old school players, fans, everybody's been in there. It's been cool to watch. Carmelo Anthony was there. Stephon Marbury was there. So it's exciting when the Knicks are good, the Bulls are good, teams like that, and we deserve it, y'all. New York, you guys deserve to have at least a decent team. You guys have been worse than the Bulls have, which is pretty crazy to say, though. But 2 big games yesterday. Minnesota came out, lost to the Nuggets. Nuggets dominated. Jokic got his MVP award, had a big double-double. They're now up 3-2. Minnesota lost 3 games for the first time this year. And the Knicks also came out, dominated the Pacers. They won 121-91. Jalen Brunson had 44 points, 5th time this playoff season with 40 or more points. And Knicks continue to be that kind of Cinderella story. Pacers, I don't know what you're doing, but Knicks doing their thing. Brunson continues to go crazy. We're going to see how these next 2 series plays out as they both head into very, very important game 6s, y'all. Let me know who you guys have, Nuggets or Knicks. Drop a comment. Who do you guys think makes it to the next round? Nuggets, Timberwolves, Knicks, or Pacers? But let's shift to a next topic, and let's get into tonight's matchup. Quick preview. The only series that is kind of somewhat figured out right now, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, we got the Boston Celtics hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. Celtics are up 3-1, and they're 41-11 against Eastern Conference opponents this year. Tatum had 33 last game. Garland had 30. Donovan Mitchell didn't play last game, which is why Garland kind of went off a little bit more. And he's also not expected to play tonight, Donovan Mitchell, with a lingering calf strain issue. No Jared Allen either for the Cavs, so they're kind of missing out on 2 big starters, not looking good for them. And Celtics also, though, still without Porzingis. So I think it's going to be a close game tonight. Celtics don't usually play their best when they're at home, but I do think they squeak it out, and they beat the Cavs, missing 2 starters, no Mitchell, no Allen. So I think Celtics get it out tonight. I think Jaylen Brown has a big game. Tatum kind of does his usual thing, but I think the Celtics close it out, head to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then that's where the real pressure starts for them. So Let me know who you think's winning tonight, but I'm going with the Celtics. So, if the Celtics don't make the finals, would you consider their season a failure? I'm going to say, yeah, man. So they have this right now against the Cavs, kind of an easy matchup. Mitchell's out now. First round, Jimmy Butler was out. So Celtics, things are lining up for them too. They dominated all season. They've been the number one team, not only in the NBA, but in the Eastern Conference. They're facing teams where everybody's injured. They have arguably the deepest team in the NBA. Porzingis, he's out, but expected to be able to play again in the conference finals. So, I mean, if they don't make the finals, I don't know how you even excuse it unless Tatum or Brown get hurt. You're going to be playing either the Pacers or the Knicks, and both teams aren't even talented as nearly as much as the Celtics are, and both teams are facing some injuries. Brunson and Halliburton are both playing, but both guys have lingering injuries going on. Randall's out for the Knicks. Ben Matherin's out for the Pacers. So it's just kind of like, why wouldn't the Celtics be able to make it to the finals? If they don't make it, absolute failure, absolute frauds. Might go down as one of the biggest failures in recent NBA history to not make the finals. I don't know if they'll be able to beat whether it's the Nuggets or Mavericks or whoever, Thunder, in the finals, but they got to make it there, man. If they don't make it there, one hell of a disappointing season for them. There's really no excuse. They made it a couple years ago when they had Ime Udoka as their coach. And then they got Joe Mazzulla due to all that drama that happened. They weren't able to make it last year. They lost before making it to the finals, kind of a similar season. Then this year they've been dominating all year, man. But a lot of the same things kind of seem to come back and bite them. Jaylen Brown not having a left hand, Tatum being a little nonchalant, Horford's starting to get a little bit older. So no Porzingis, definitely a problem. So no Porzingis, probably no finals or no final. I think they could still make it to the finals without Porzingis. But a lot of that stuff being exposed. And if they don't win, you got to kind of win tonight. I say you win tonight, you go up, your series is over. You potentially have the Knicks and Pacers going to Game 7 on Sunday. So you can imagine, today's Wednesday. Celtics can wrap it up today. They're going to have it almost an entire week off until the conference finals, which gives time for Porzingis. The rest of the teams kind of, relax a little bit, get caught back up, get those injuries fixed up, because that's going to be a big conference final. I think no matter who, they're going to win. But I don't know. It doesn't sound too good. Tatum, a couple of his interviews sounds a little bit soft, talking about how people expect a lot from them and all that stuff. But got to step it up, JT, especially all the Mamba mentality. I love Kobe stuff that he's always doing. Drives me nuts when he does that, and then you come out with some soft stuff like that. But let me get some water. It's a little parched in here. But yeah, they're going to be on tonight on TNT. So that's going to be a big game, y'all, man. And it's so confusing to me why they got the whole True TV TNT thing going on. I don't understand the difference. Maybe different channels are on like certain packages or something like that. But no Mitchell, man, they got to get this one tonight. I think they do. I think it's going to be close, though. If there is another game, it'll be Friday, which will be going back to Cleveland. But anything they got to do, I think you got to make it tonight, make that happen tonight. Darius Garland, 30 points, 7 assists in 40 minutes. Cleveland was 15 of 48 from three-point land. And that's kind of what you expect. Garland's a smaller guard, but, he's got to go off for them. Mobley's still really young. Mobley's not really as aggressive as he should be. A lot of people thought he was going to be a lot more coming out of college. Seems like he hasn't kind of found that next level switch on the offensive side. Defensively, dude is a monster. But he could do more, man. There's no Porzingis out there. Horford, a lot older than he used to be. Like, Mobley has that advantage to be able to go inside and do that. And then Jason Tatum, just kind of typical Tatum, where he's, forgot where he is for a couple of games, and he came out 33 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. And that's the type of game they need from him every night, man. If he had that type of killer mentality, there's no question that they'll easily be the favorites to win the finals. But it's like Tatum, kind of a little wishy-washy. He's not always looking completely locked in. And then Jaylen Brown is pretty locked in, but not nearly as skilled or as, I would say, as good as Jason Tatum is. So it's a lot more than just that. Celtics seems like maybe it's the first year with Holiday. Holiday hasn't really seemed like himself either. But Boston got to the line a lot, 24 free throws in Game 4, 17 more than Cleveland. So they're getting that whistle, and it makes sense. They're a little bit bigger of a team, a lot more aggressive. So definitely trying to get to the basket and all that. But it's hard for the Cavs right now. No Mitchell, so they're losing a little bit of that offensive firepower. Karis LeVert, I think it's a scary sight when you know that Karis can get as many shots as he wants. Garland at least kind of took over on that end from their side, but it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. You know, you need LeVert to go off, but LeVert does a lot of bad shots. No Jared Allen, no Jared Allen, so nobody to really man the paint for them. But I think the Celtics close it out tonight. Relatively close game, and kind of getting into that. Boston's only 14-14 at home in the playoffs over the last 3 years. So I think tonight they'll get that 15th win and get over 500 at home. But I think it's going to be a close one. It seems like one of those games where Tatum probably comes out and looks like he's bored and doesn't really want to play and shoots a couple of random shots. They get the win at the end. But I expect the Garden, or is it TD Garden now? Who knows, to be popping tonight. I still think Celtics win it. Close game. But here we go, y'all. Here we go. Man, gotta wake up a little bit, y'all. Gotta bring the energy. 3-1. Let's see how many years in a row would that be. Boston, Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals, appearances. Let's see. So, yeah, they've been to the conference finals since 2020. They've been there 3 times. So they lost to the Heat 2 years ago. They beat the Heat the year before that. So they've lost, since 2016, 2017, they've been there 3, 4, 5 times with only 1 trip to the finals. And that 1 trip they lost to the Warriors. And a lot of people thought that was an upset. The Warriors probably shouldn't have won that one. Wiggins outplayed Tatum. But big games tonight, man. Celtics, I think if you want to have a chance to win the finals, you got to close the series out. You can't keep letting it go to the next game. The next game, you see all these other series. People are getting hurt. It happens, man. It's the NBA. It's the playoffs. Fastest people in the world playing against the next fastest people with the highest intensity of the entire season. So Celtics, you got to close it out tonight, y'all. Don't let the game keep playing. Don't play with the game. Don't play with the NBA gods. Finish it out tonight. I think they do. And then they go ahead and pretty much wait until the Knicks and the Pacers finish pretty much that bloodbath that's taking place in the second round. So it's kind of funny. It's like the Celtics are that one fighter in the UFC or boxing that's kind of getting those easy matchups, knocking people out, taking them down. Then you got the Knicks and Pacers on the other hand, just in a slugfest. Two people just going at it, hit for hit. One person gets knocked down, they get back up. That person that got knocked down knocks the other dude down, they get back up. So it's been a crazy series, a little bit opposite on the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference has had good games, but I think overall people kind of expect or think they know what's going to happen when that plays out. So we'll see what happens tonight with that Celtics game, but let's go C's. And the other game from last night, man, disappointing. My NBA champion pick, Dallas Mavericks, just blew a lead, gave it up, or not blew. This is not last night's other game. This is the preview for tonight's game. My bad, y'all. So preview for tonight's game, second game, Mavericks at Thunder. Damn, Escozy, hi. Get some water, y'all. Man, be so serious. Got to loosen up in here. Talking too many hoops, but other game that's taking place tonight, guys. Big preview, big game. Dallas Mavericks heading into Oklahoma City to face the Thunder. Thunder won the last game 100-96. Mavs were up by 14 in the second half, but the Thunder came back and took the lead for the rest of the game with 3:24 left to go. Chet Holmgren hit a 3 that put them up 89-86. Big 3 from the rookie. He was involved. He was talking a lot of smack. And SGA led the way, 34 points. Chet, like I said, big game, 18 points and 9 rebounds. PJ Washington led the Mavs in scoring with 21. So you know that's probably not a good sign. And Kyrie, his second game this series, that with less than 10 points. He only had 9 points in the game right before that. Luka did have a triple-double, but he's looking pretty slow out there, man. So knee looks like it's still bothering him. And the Mavs let that one get away. So it's a tough one to put out there. Mavs had him the entire game, y'all. It looked like they were in control. I don't even know how that one slipped away, but Mavericks ended up losing 196. They should be going back home, or not going home. They should be going to Oklahoma City up 3-1. They let that get away. SGA just making everything. He had a shot from almost behind the side of the backboard that still managed to go in. Chet Holmgren kind of seems to make those timely shots when he has to. He hit that big three that put them up 89-86. Then he also hit 2 big free throws, also affected a ton of shots on the defensive end. And I know Wemby gets a lot of the love for good reason, but Chet's been that rookie this year that actually has got to make an impact on a lot of winning plays. And on the Dallas side, man, Luka with a triple-double, looking very slow, though. You can tell that knee's bothering him. I was looking at some videos on Twitter of some highlights from earlier this year. He was moving a lot quicker, a lot more nimble. And Kyrie, man, Kyrie, where you been? 2 games this series with less than 10 points. It's just not acceptable, bro. He's the veteran on that team. He's got to step up. I think tonight he has a big game. I think the Mavericks go into OKC and win tonight. I could see Kyrie going for like 40, especially if Luka's a little bit gimpy, a little bit slow. You know that Kyrie's got to step up, and he's been here before, man. He played with LeBron, similar to Luka in the sense of like handles the ball a lot, but they've looked very, very just kind of like discombobulated. In the regular season, it seemed to work pretty good. The whole like Kyrie, then Luka, Kyrie, then Luka. But in the playoffs so far, it looks a little clunky. It's like Kyrie just waits the entire first half, and you could tell second half, he's like, all right, let me turn it up. But by then, the rhythm's a little bit out, the flow's a little bit out, and the Thunder, you can tell they're just kind of trying to get the ball out of Luka, out of Kyrie's hands, let players like P.J. Washington keep getting those shot attempts, like Derrick Jones Jr., like Tim Hardaway Jr., and obviously, those players aren't as good as Luka and Kyrie. But Luka, Kyrie, they got to find a way. Got to find a way to get their shot up. Got to find a way to play a little bit better together, a little bit less of the your turn, my turn type of thing. But I do think tonight, Kyrie, big game, goes out, balls out, gets the Mavericks the lead, and then they go back to Dallas and finish it off. SGA, been an absolute dog, absolute perro out there, but I don't think it happens again this game. I still think he gets his, but I think the Mavericks come out with a little bit more defensive intensity. And, you know, sometimes it's a little bit easier to go out on the road and come out with that fierce attitude versus at home. I think they kind of got complacent. This team as a group hasn't made a run like this in the playoffs yet. Mavericks did make the conference finals a couple years ago, but that was like a complete different surrounding cast. They had Brunson, Dinwiddie, Finney-Smith. That was still when Dwight Powell was starting at center. So a whole different team. But I think Dallas comes out tonight, gets the dub, goes up against the Thunder, and kind of proves why a lot of people think they're that team to be reckoned with. And that's a big thing for them too, man. They fumbled the bag last game. Losing that game to the Thunder, when you got to hurt Luka, if you want to really make a run to the finals, you got to win those games. Close it out when you can. Now they're going to end up in at least a 6-game, maybe 7-game series if they can even squeak it out. And that's just more games, more damage against Luka's knee, and that's not good. But I know a lot of people wanted that young high flyer Ant Edwards against SGA matchup for the conference finals, but we're going to get that slow burn Luka Doncic versus Nikola Jokic. So I think the Thunder lose tonight. I think it's a big game for Kyrie. Luka comes along, probably gets his like he always does, but I think Kyrie's going to kind of explode tonight. A lot of people looking for him. So the question I kind of have in relation to that, is there like a disconnect between Luka and Kyrie? Or is it just kind of a product of how they've been playing all season? So the best answer I would say is I don't think there's a disconnect between them. I think it's just a little bit too much of relying on work for you in the regular season. So in the regular season, yeah, you can do a little bit more of the your turn, my turn type of thing. But in the playoffs, when there's a game plan, when they know we're going to just force you guys to get the ball out of your hands, that's when a little bit more of that chemistry, that on-court connection comes into play, how you guys feed off of each other. And a lot of the time you see Kyrie bringing the ball up and Luka's kind of just like walking in the back, chilling, making his way up the court. And also you'll see Luka with the ball, then Kyrie's kind of just standing there and he'll get the ball and just kind of pass it off right away. So it'd be interesting to see if there's anything maybe Jason Kidd can work on, whether there's some type of sets that they can run to try to help them get in a little bit more of a flow. But that's hard with Luka. You know, it's a lot of the stuff that people talk about Luka is how hard it is to play with him. Can other people play with him? Do other people want to play with him? And I think the answer is yeah, he's still got to learn a little bit, but he's dominant. How can you not want him to have the ball? He can do everything, pass, shoot, make a layup. I know Shannon Sharp came out, talked about how much Luka's complaining. I will agree with that, man. The Luka complaining reminds me a lot of the Clippers back in the day, the Lob City Clippers, where every other play, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, they were just arguing and arguing with the refs. And you're like, bro, just play the game. If you focus more on the game, you'll probably be doing a lot better than if you stop playing defense every 5 seconds and yelling at the ref, or every time you miss a shot, every time you do anything. It's the playoffs, y'all. We've been watching. They're letting them get physical. They're letting them play hard. And I don't know why they think like that's not going to apply to them. So I really do hope the Mavericks can squeak it out. I think the Thunder aren't ready to make it. I know it'd be cool to see them in the conference finals, but if they play the Nuggets, I think that's going to be a sweep, man. I think Kyrie comes out tonight, balls out of control. PJ Washington, keep doing your thing. But that's the thing too, man. They got to, I feel like some of the lineups, like if we see them coming in, where's their roster at? It's been a little bit weird. Like I like Derrick Jones Jr., but I don't see what he's doing enough out there to keep playing him all the time. I know a lot of people hate on Tim Hardaway Jr., but I still think he's a bigger threat, at least on the offensive side, as Derrick Jones Jr. And I know they got to play defense and all that, but Derrick Jones Jr., not that good either. He was getting cooked by SGA. He's kind of a little more slim, thin build type of dude. So it looked like he was getting pushed down a little bit in the post. And I think having that lineup with Tim Hardaway, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, PJ Washington, and then Gafford or Lively, that's a solid five right there. But without a healthy Luka, it's just tough, man. He's looking a little just slow. Dort's messing with him. Dort's holding him a lot. There's all types of videos on Twitter of him grabbing him and holding him and how they're preparing for him defensively. And Luka, you got to step up, bro. You want to be known as like one of the best players in the NBA. You got to step up. Even if your knee hurts, you got to 18 points. That ain't going to be enough in the playoffs, bro. Like, you got to do something. And you're not even known for playing that fast. So ideally, you should still be able to do something, at least relative. Whatever that means. But I don't think there's a disconnect. I'm leaning big with the Mavericks, y'all. I think Mavericks tonight. I think Kyrie's going crazy. I don't know how else to say it. I think that's what he does. I mean, but you watch the game, it does really look like, they're kind of just, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, and just stop complaining, Luka. Please, Luka. All right. And next, man, we're talking about the NBA, but yesterday, WNBA season kicked off. Caitlin Clark made her WNBA debut. They lost to the Connecticut Sun 92-71. She did have a pretty slow start, but she did finish the game with 20 points and 3 assists. The Connecticut Sun defense, they were on another level yesterday, kind of put the clamps on her. She did have 10 turnovers, and a lot of that was led by number 21, Carrington on the Suns, who guarded Caitlin Clark most of the night. Connecticut was led by DeWanna Bonner with 20 points, and then Carrington and Harris both added 16 points of their own. So only one other player on Indiana ended up in double digits. So you can kind of see why Indiana ended up with the first pick in the first place. Clark definitely showed a lot of flashes of what made her the first pick. She had a couple nice takes to the basket, nice behind the back passes. Her first three-pointer was coming off a screen that looked exactly like she did in college. But it's going to be really tough for her this year, y'all. Her team's really not that good, and every team you can tell is just kind of zoned in on her. They're really focused on making sure that they could stop her. Who knows why? I get it. They're a little salty, but they're flying private now. You're not flying commercial. Might want to make sure you keep that girl healthy. So next game for Caitlin Clark's going to be Thursday. They're going to be facing the New York Liberty and Breanna Stewart. So that's going to be a big game. Two big names that a lot of people know if you keep up with women's basketball. Breanna Stewart, big name coming out of UConn, and she's been in the WNBA now for a few years. So big game Thursday. I'm definitely keeping up with Caitlin Clark. I know a lot of people on the internet are hating or think that she's getting a lot before she deserves it. But, man, she brings the names. She brings all the excitement. They're playing in bigger stadiums almost in every city just because she's coming. So you got to give her props, y'all. And like I said, it's kind of funny how everybody's hating on her, even though she's the reason that there's so many more eyeballs now on the WNBA. So Caitlin Clark, keep doing your thing. I expect a lot of big things out of her this year. I was also taking a look at the Rookie of the Year odds right now in the WNBA. So the question I would ask is, will Caitlin Clark win the Rookie of the Year? And my answer is going to be, hell yeah, brother. She's currently minus 800 on DraftKings to win the award. And the next two players, actually Chicago Sky players, shout out Chicago, Angel Reese at plus 3,000 and Camila Cardoso at plus 3,500. Camilla's actually out right now with a shoulder injury. But those are the three leading players to win the WNBA Rookie of the Year. So the only way I think Caitlin doesn't win it is if she gets hurt. She's going to have the ball all the time. She's going to be on every nationally televised game they can put her on. She's going to have the narrative. They're going to want to build her up to be the next player. And it's how do you not do that without getting the WNBA Rookie of the Year? So I think she's going to win it. All the TV, all the hype, all the just everything coming along behind her. I would love to see a Chicago Sky player win it, but I just don't think Reese is even going to have the ball as much like that, or Cardoso. She might not even be healthy enough this year to win it. So shout out to Caitlin. I think she will win the WNBA Rookie of the Year award, and I think it's only the beginning of great things, not only for her, but for the entire WNBA. It's probably the most exciting season in their history in terms of like overall just regular day-to-day fans, people that aren't always locked into WNBA are talking about it. People are tuning in. They're only on ESPN2 as of right now, but I think they'll get bumped up to some ESPN one or regular ABC games coming this year. But it's exciting right now, time in the WNBA as the season's kicking off. Exciting right now, the NBA playoffs. Round number 2 has been nothing but short than spectacular, or nothing short of spectacular. Let me fix the English, but WNBA season just kicked off, underway. Sky do play tonight against the Dallas Wings. So like I mentioned, Angel Reese is going to be making her WNBA debut, but Camila Cardoso, who we picked ahead of her, is going to be sitting out with a shoulder injury. So very exciting time right now for basketball. WNBA just started. Caitlin Clark, WNBA career under start. NBA playoffs in round 2. We got 3 of the matchups are super close. Celtics up 3-1 on the Cavs, but who knows what happens with that series. So everybody drop a comment, leave a like, do whatever. Might have said that wrong. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Good, bad, neutral. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it going. And stay tuned for the next episode, y'all. We're going to do a Bears schedule release. That just came out today on Wednesday for the NFL. Can't wait to go through that with you, y'all. And I'm excited for the Bears, y'all. Let's fucking go. But right now, drop the comments, leave a like, hit subscribe. Who do you guys got winning tonight? Mavericks, Thunder. You got the Celtics, the Cavs. Bada boom, bada bing. Who knows? Stay tuned. And Frosty Entertainment. Go crazy. Never fugazi.